Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Looks like our country hasn't burned down yet. It's soon to ruin. But today, I have Manuels.Minis with us from the famed Grimtex group of 8, where we took a ring to a location and may have destroyed the death and evil around that area. Even if Manuel wasn't there, he was there in spirit. How are you doing today, Manuel?
I'm doing great. It's been a good day, been a good couple of weeks in the hobby too. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, like the announcement of Sunrot, I know that's been around. As far as I can tell, it's kind of like a horror cooperative game. Probably only going to be at Adepticon, which I probably will not be able to go again this year, maybe next year. Does that pique your interest at all?
Yeah, and when I first saw the Sunrot name, it was on someone's reel or something. All they said was Sunrot coming soon, and that grabbed my interest the way a lot of other of these kinds of events grab my interest, where all you get is a name. Sunrot.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Mhm.
What's going on in this setting? So right away it grabbed me, and I'm eager to learn more because, you hear about suns dying, stars dying, it makes a black hole or whatever. But what about a sun rotting? What does that do?
Yeah,
So
Jesus.
I'm down. Yeah.
Yeah, I no, 100%. I think that anytime these events get brought up, and we know in our group when we sometimes secretly we bitch about how many things are going on at the same time,
Oh yeah.
which I understand, and that's why I'm a part of said group. But whenever there's 14 different settings and campaigns going on at the same time, the ones that really stand out, even if it is a smaller game or maybe not even a tabletop game, it sounds pretty interesting. Trying to think if there's any other news out there that we got. We got Smash Bash up and going. I am a part of a bit swap or a bash swap that I'm doing with. I'd have to find his name. I can't remember it, but he's down in Georgia. That's pretty cool. I think, is the Visterian stuff over after you guys left? Is that the conclusion of the entire campaign?
As far as I know, yeah. My introduction to Vastarian was a little different compared to the people that participated. And I mentioned it briefly on Instagram on one of my stories that I had kind of a unique experience with it.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but speaking to what you said earlier about, being overwhelmed with all these events going on, I remember last year there was some pushback about, hey, you got this challenge to finish. You got 3 more coming up right behind it. I know you want to participate in all of them, but now, relax. The next challenge
Yeah.
is take a breather, work on stuff for yourself. Don't worry about all these other things going on. So while it's nice to have all this sort of community content, it is also important to kind of step back and tell yourself, hey, it's okay if I miss out on this. I can experience it a different way. And usually for me, the different way to experience it is seeing the stuff that people come up with. So
Oh,
for,
yeah.
for Smash Bash, I mean, I'm not doing anything for it, but the stuff that comes up after it is always an inspiration. So you still get
Yeah.
joy out of it in one way or another.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think for me, mine's a little bit sadder than what you're suggesting. It's that it's not that I can't set time aside for myself. It's just that at this point, with me being so fucking old, that I don't want to take on too many things. Like I'll be honest, every time I do a podcast, right before the podcast, ask every single guest. I guarantee that I've asked them, "Hey, do you want to do it a little bit earlier?" I hate having things on an agenda. I know that
Yeah.
that's how I have to do it as a host, but because it always hangs over my head. And I tried
Right.
to explain this to a friend. It's not that I hate interviewing. I love this.
Hmm.
It's just that after that, then I have nothing to worry about. Then I can be a complete jackass on the couch and melt away. But yeah, I totally understand that, and people really should be giving themselves that extra break,
Yeah,
especially
totally.
right now.
Yeah.
Uh, and with a lot of things, not to get too crazy philosophical here, but everybody knows from this show how politically active and motivated I am, and a lot of that is staring at news articles over
Hmm.
and over throughout the day. And I do this for fun. I do this out of interest,
Yeah.
but it got to me the other day, and I started picking up reading comic books again because I just the thought of going back to another video that was about or another article
Hmm.
is just really fucking hard. So I'm glad that you brought that up because that one specifically, I told my wife this week, I was like, I can't talk about anything political today.
Yeah.
Which is rare for me to do.
No, I get that. You kind of reach a limit, but how do you balance that with staying informed and knowing what's going on and also learning about other people's experiences and what they're going through, because it's one thing to digest and process political news, but you also wonder, well, how does this look like from someone else's perspective, someone who might be more affected by it? Yeah, I would want to take in those perspectives as well. I can mainly say this for Monday nights. So Mondays, I'll get back into the office at work. It's Monday. Maybe I'm not really in the zone to get right back into it. So I'll spend a little time when I'm free to catch up on my news or whatever. And you're right, it can get overwhelming. It is a lot, especially now. It's a new thing every other hour, it seems like.
From every channel showing the same
Yeah,
clip over and over again.
exactly. But in the evening, on Monday nights, I know that I'm going to be able to get away from that somewhat because I meet up with a bunch of people. We do what's called a paint jam at our local shop, and we hang
Dope.
out, and all we do is sit there and paint or put together minis, whatever. It's dedicated hobby time that I look forward to every week. For the most part, politics isn't introduced there, but if it happens, it happens. We talk it out. But
yeah, and I mean, shit, man, don't ruin a good thing, people, for your friend groups. But if you're in a comfortable environment, no better time to be able to talk about things in a calm, collective way where you can explain that you're all on the same side. It is a matter of who might not be on said side and who may be taking advantage of those things.
Absolutely. And it's good to talk these things out because it also kind of reinforces you and you think, okay, so I'm not looking at this and thinking this is insane. Other people also think this is insane.
Right.
That's good that I haven't lost grip with reality.
Yeah, and everybody needs an escape. Honestly, I do it day and night, whether I'm watching. I've been trying to find No Other Country, which is a Palestinian documentary.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. The documentary is for sale on Amazon UK to rent, but it is not in the US.
Yeah, it's deliberate, I'm sure.
Yeah. So the big thing, and we'll get back on the rails here in a second, folks. We kind of went into this structurally, just from things that we were talking about before. But yeah, it's unfortunately fortunately and unfortunately, my extra time that I have a group as well, and it's called the Democratic Socialists of America. So it's more politics that I'm involving myself in. But I think I found a happy medium of completely don't think about anything to do with that for a little bit and just focus on something else. I think just everybody needs some kind of escape. You got to be able to work that out on your own.
And you mentioned this earlier, but Bastarian was like that for a whole weekend for me.
I was going to ask, yeah.
I had mentioned in my Instagram stories before, but I had kind of a unique experience with it. I had heard of Vastarian. I'd seen the hashtag. I kind of dug in a little bit to see what it was, and I saw people converting miniatures for it. But I really didn't know anything about the setting or why people were going to, I assume people, wanted to play games or whatever and meet each other, but I didn't know what was drawing everybody narrative-wise. So I talked to Bill Ford, the Ruin 501, amazing guy. I talked to him about it and asked him, hey, is Vestarian this weekend at Asgard? And he's like, sure is. And that's all I needed. I knew I was going to be at Asgard the moment it opened, see what was going on.
Anything that Bill's a part of, I want to be a part of.
Oh, yeah. So I drove down there and I get there and these gorgeous tables that Bill put together. Some games are already underway. I see these just incredible, if you're into the grimdark stuff, just the most gorgeous minis, some of the biggest names in the hobby, I would say. And my hobby heroes, and I don't say that lightly. But they were all participating in this. And so I arrived as someone who only caught a whiff of what was going on on this planet, in this region of this planet. I go there, I witness these incredible battles, these incredible characters duking it out for control. I can't really even tell who's going for what, why are they here? Do they want to light the beacon? Do they want to prevent it from being lit? It's a unique perspective. And you can get that in some narratives where you're not participating, but you can experience it in a different way. And it's kind of, how would I put it?
It's kind of episodic in a way for you. Yeah. I mean, if you're,
because I'm watching the story develop as an outsider, almost like I'm with my scribe and he's writing everything down. I'm going to take a report back to some other planet if I make it out alive.
Yeah.
So my experience with it was very unique. I didn't participate because I had nothing put together. But side note, I will say a lot of the folks there were really, really kind about it. And they're like, hey, place a subjective marker wherever you want to put it. Or, hey, we'll give you a couple demons. One of the Weir brothers said to me, hey, we'll give you a couple demons, if you want to roll for them or whatever to see what they do. A few people offered up a warband or two and say, hey, if you want to play a game, feel free. And so people couldn't be more welcoming. So yeah, like I said, I got to see a little bit from every different table, got to witness all sorts of stuff, saw some
That's
absolutely
dope,
insane
man.
creatures. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that the great thing about it, first of all, seeing anybody's work is just fun to fucking do. I think it's,
Hmm.
I mean, all we did the first 2 or 3 hours that we were at Grimtex was, I mean, that very thing. But it goes in line with, I like watching people, like watching my wife play Last of Us for the first time. So
Hmm.
it's like that spectator version where you get kind of that episodic like storytelling element to it, and
Yeah.
everybody's adding new information and you're finding out. It's just kind of it's a nice interactive thing regardless.
Yeah, and you don't get to control any of it, right? You're part of the you're watching the narrative unfold. You're not worried about participating or whatever. The story's being told to you, but like by what little information you can gather. And it's one of the things that I like about the Dark Souls series of games. You know, you don't generally get the whole story just given to you on a platter. You have to piece it together from events in the game or item descriptions. This is kind of similar. I'm piecing together the story as people complete objectives or people fight it out over stuff or that sort of thing. So it's a
And
really fun way to experience.
it's so funny because I didn't understand that whenever I first started playing Elden Ring.
Hmm.
So I'm sure I pissed off a lot of friends by asking them questions about certain things about Elden Ring that they
Yeah,
just wanted me to find out on my own. They want me to
yeah,
experience the game that they experienced it. Luckily, I eventually joined that board of the. So
yeah.
now, because I never got to play any of the Dark Souls games, I wasn't interested at the time, and I played Elden Ring as my first From Software game, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I initially killed, I don't know if you can remember Elden Ring, but I initially killed the first guy that you meet right outside the dungeon,
Hmm.
and I couldn't get a specific piece that I wanted throughout the rest of the game because I ended up killing. Anyways,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Vare, you killed Vare, the guy that
has those
he's
bug
part of that
thing
covenant.
that,
Yeah,
yeah, that those bug swarm things that keep on fucking you up.
right. Yeah.
Uh, But okay, so yeah, Visterion sounds like a blast. Is there an ending? Did they give you kind of like a definitive ending?
As I understood it, what people were trying to do was there was one faction of people who were there on Visterion to light up this enormous lighthouse. I think the gentleman that built it was there, and super nice guy, like everybody else there. It was this multi-tiered lighthouse with a working light at the top,
That's
and
dope.
one faction was trying to light the beacon and the lighthouse. Another one was trying to prevent the beacon from being lit. And as with anything in the Imperium, who knows what the hell this is going to do? If it does something bad, probably involves chaos. Well, the faction that wanted to light the beacon won. They got what they wanted. They lit the beacon, and the most unbelievable chaos demons I've ever seen spawned on the board. And
No fucking way.
this is what was one of the really cool things about it. Red Wet Skeleton created all these. Every one of them was better than the last. They went from pretty small to enormous, like baby sized. You would believe it was a baby on the table.
What the fuck?
And it really was like a moment of panic because somehow the guy kept these hidden all weekend. Nobody had seen these. The first time they see these is when the beacons are lit, the demons spawn, and now they're here to mess things up and to just fuck everybody up. Everyone's gonna get smote, smitten, whatever.
Yeah,
And
smitten.
this is what you get. This is what you get for messing with something you don't understand. I know the demons put up a hell of a fight, but and again, as an outside observer who's here just to witness these things and just run away with his life, the moment the giant uh, chaos demon spawned, he immediately started striking down with like no chance to protect yourself. He immediately started
Oh
striking
my
down
god.
these saints, right? And that was a really cool mechanic. And I hope that I'm not getting this wrong, but again, outside observer, Mara McCoy, a tremendous artist, and he had
Yeah,
a gorgeous, gorgeous warband with him, with great lore too. Uh, he had drawn up these tarot cards. I think it
yeah,
was
I
like
saw those.
maybe
Yeah.
13 cards or so, and they were gracious enough to give me a copy for myself. So thanks to everybody there. They paired these up with the saints of the warbands that were still alive at the end. And right when the Chaos Demon arrived, they used those tarot cards to match up with who he was going to strike down immediately.
Oh
And so some
shit.
just they bore witness to this demon and just died right away. No saving roll, nothing. You
But
couldn't dodge it, whatever.
that's
Yeah.
such a fucking narrative. Like that's a James Gunn movie type of situation, like a Guillermo del Toro like Hellboy situation. Go ahead.
Yeah, these cards were used to match people up at tables, I think, or to determine objectives. And then for them to come back at the end and be like, well, here's the no, yeah, sorry, you're dead. Sorry, you got what you wanted. This is really what you wanted to be
Yeah,
slain by Chaos Demon. You're probably screwed for all eternity now. Yeah, tremendous. Just
that's
incredible
great.
to witness. And everybody there was incredible.
And
There's
yeah, I mean, yeah, there was a big list of names. Our own Grimtex people were there for like a shit ton of them. I think that everybody was there except for me.
I think so. Yeah.
I think Gabby, Colt, Sam, and all them. Yeah, I'll have to go the next time you have something down in Texas. If somebody will invite me, Bill, I would like to be invited and not given. Well, I thought you were moving. You piece of shit. All right, Bill, I love you. When did you start? And did you start with like D&D? Did you initially start painting? Were you into Warhammer from childhood?
So my first experience with Warhammer was back in, I don't know, it was 10th or 11th grade, maybe 2003, 2004, thereabouts. I remember in the morning in school, in high school, one of my friends, it's two guys that were always attached to the hip. One of them had a Space Wolves Codex. And I look at this thing, I'm like, what the hell is this? I flip it open. The first thing I see is a Space Wolves gray Space Wolf in front of like a jungle tree or something. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I needed to know more. Another friend of mine was there at the time. He's a bit of a naysayer. He's like, Manny, don't bother getting into this. I'm like, why? I'm so interested in this. This is right up my alley. I was probably 16, 17 at that point. Didn't have a job. My parents, both of them worked terrible hours. Like my dad was working, out of state. My mom was working in the evenings, so I never see her. We didn't have that kind of money. I never got any kind of allowance or anything. I didn't have a side gig after work, but that stayed in my mind. And I told myself, once I get some cash of my own,
Yeah.
I'll go I'll go look into this some more. Then a year later or so, after I graduated high school, I had managed to land a job the very beginning of my senior year. So after school, I'd have a part-time job, and I got my money. I eventually got a car, little 88 RX-7, love that car, and I found a place nearby that said they sold Warhammer stuff. So I went there. I talked to the guy. He gave me the quick sales pitch. I bought my Battle for McCrag starter box, Space Marines versus a couple NIDs, some very prized terrain from that set. And that had to have been summer of 2005. And I've basically been into Warhammer and miniature painting ever since.
How old were you in 2005?
18.
Yeah. Okay. We graduated the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you already know, I did D&D first. I have talked to so many people though that initially saw Warhammer first as their like intro into anything that's like that. And it's fascinating to me that there was such. I knew that there was a massive following before, but I didn't realize how far it expanded.
I really had no idea. I eventually met all the locals who would go there to play. To this day, that place had the best tables and the best terrain. But I met the folks that would go there and play that have these gorgeous, fully painted armies. It would be a spectacle every time. They're the ones that really got me into painting. And really, ever since, I keep up with the Games Workshop releases, but I also try to follow any other cool minis out there, any other cool games. I collect a lot of rule books just because I'm interested in game design.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, I'm more of a painter than a player. The last few years, I've taken painting more seriously, but I've also resolved, I don't like making resolutions, but I've also resolved this year to play more. So I've already gotten the game of Trench Crusade in. I'm hoping to play
really?
Blood Bowl. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, big, I don't want to say it's controversial, but it seems like there's this pushback within a certain sect of the community that is finally saying what we said about the community to begin with. There's too many things going on.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of welcome Trench Crusade as kind of just a new setting entirely, right? Where it's not associated with Warhammer whatsoever. Well, that's where what some of my drive to go into Morkborg and Forbidden Psalm was. Now I'm getting a group together to play Trench Crusade. So I kind of just want to try these different systems out, see what's what. You guys building these fucking huge ass armies. Dude, I love to paint, but it's taken me forever to put my warband together and get them perfect the way I want them.
Yeah.
For even Trench, much less going through and painting all those models. Is there a game that you would recommend to people that you've played that is easily accessible that they can throw like a few models on in a game and then be good to go?
Right off the bat, Forbidden Psalm. I think that's a really simple game where you could set aside a not a very big playing space. It's a 2x2, some terrain, 4 or 5 dudes. I think the stat line is really building your characters is really simple. Um, it's a DR12 system, so you're looking to beat a 12 generally based on what the action calls for. But the way those rule books are structured, whether you're playing Forbidden Psalm or any of the offshoots like Last War or Dread Knights, if you want more like a Victorian vampire kind of thing, or just classic Forbidden Psalm, for instance. I have one, Endless Horrors from Beyond the Stars, if you really want like a culty
Yeah,
eldritch horror kind of
that
thing.
just came out not too long ago, did it
Yeah,
not?
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
backed it. I got a nice hardcover for it.
yeah, I got that as well. Speaking of which, this is the number one thing that I look for in any books that I get. I have a whole shelf that I'll put a picture in but I collect it mostly for art and just looking through it and the inspiration that I get from it. Is there anything in particular that sticks out to you that you reference a little bit more than others?
Definitely Dark Souls, the Dark Souls series, really
Oh, yeah.
all of those Soulsborne games. Hidetaka Miyazaki, he's got an incredible way of he just I don't know how much he's part of pulling together the art teams for this, but they've got an
Well,
incredible eye. Yeah,
yeah,
they really have an
he's
incredible
got
eye.
to have something to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of goes hand in hand with what we were saying earlier about how Elden Ring delivers the story. Um, my understanding is that came from Miyazaki reading fantasy books in English without fully understanding the language. So he pieced together the parts that he knew, and from those small parts that seemed disconnected or at times incoherent, he would create this grander narrative in his head. That's how he
Yeah.
delivers these games. Cryptic
The way
speech.
he learned them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Item descriptions. You don't get the full piece. You got to put it together yourself. You got to work for it, which most people don't want to do. And I totally get it, but it is rewarding if you do that.
Oh, 1,000%.
So
Yeah.
in terms of visual references, yeah, a lot of the Dark Souls stuff. I've got a Dark Souls 1 art book that I keep by my painting desk, which I've got marked off all the pages that I think have really cool ideas, really cool references. I also take a lot of how he delivers his story into my own writing. And this is something I never thought I'd be able to do. But when I create characters for Necropolis 28, shout out Peter Vigors.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
going to ask if you were
yeah,
going to talk about that this
yeah,
time around. Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck yeah, Peter Vigors.
When I created, when I create those characters, I thought, I'll write something down. I'll give them a name or whatever. I'll give them like a small blurb. Turns out I really, really enjoyed it. And whether it's good or not is irrelevant to me. It's just really enjoyable to write those and give my characters more life. Rather than just sticking them onto a Instagram page.
Yeah, I think honestly, what I can say to tag to myself onto that is probably the way that I have reached such a connection with the models that I love that I've painted.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they haven't got as much praise from other people, but those stories and how they look to me is exactly the way I want my paint style.
Yeah,
And they'll
yeah.
always stick to me. Like I'll probably end up sending the ones that I personally love to Salute this year whenever I
Mhm.
send those off. But yeah, I think there's something special about, especially whenever you get thrown into a new game like Trench Crusade,
Mhm.
fucking with lore that has not been fucked with.
Yeah.
I think that that's a lot of the reason why I'm excited about it, because everybody in Warhammer has been listening to this lore for years and years and years and years. And there's chances where somebody would say, no, you can't do that because this happened or blah, blah, blah. With this, it's a wide open playing field.
Mhm.
My main guy in my army right now, or my war band, is Bishop Billipet, who's actually influenced by a darker demon sect that's pushing the heretics towards their specific route of a path. So I just think it's so cool to be able to take a story that already exists, that is bare bones, and make your own thing from it. I think
Hell
that
yeah.
that's the
Hell
number
yeah.
one thing.
Pun intended. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell
Uh,
yeah, brother.
I think what I like most about Trench Crusade is, as you said, it's a new playground, right? Every new little thing that Mike Francina and team put out for artwork and lore, I've been trying to gobble up as much of it as I can. Mainly
Hmm.
the art, but also the lore is just incredible.
Yeah, it's a nice spin.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have. I don't really have any kind of relationship with religion, good or bad. I'd probably say mostly bad if I'm being honest, but I didn't grow up in a religious household. I'm not religious now. I don't think I ever really was for an appreciable amount of time. So, as far as Christianity goes, I really view Christianity the way I view any other kind of religion or any other kind of mythology. There is a lot of great stories there that serve as a basis for something else with respect to the original context. I don't want to go out and say I disrespect Norse mythology or Mexica mythology, for instance, but it is a great foundation for new stories and new worlds to explore. So I'm excited about all the biblical stuff. I've always liked like biblical horror. If you've ever seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, that for me is
Yeah, it's
it's like
fucking amazing.
the original, really. Like
Oh yeah.
all this horrifying stuff based in Christian imagery. I love it. I love that shit.
I also like a world, dude, where you believe that you have had no connection to Christianity whatsoever, and you start believing that this is what Christianity is.
Yeah,
And Bill would love that.
yeah,
Bill will write all over. He'll probably actually agree to certain people being like that, but yeah, man, wouldn't that be? Oh, so this is what I've been missing out on.
yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I started looking at I looked up, give me a list of all the demons out there. I want to know who I want my warband to pledge loyalty to. And so that's where I came across, I think it's called the Ars Goetia. And that goes through all the demons, the dukes, the princes, the marquises, presidents of hell, what they command and what they
Yeah,
have control over, what their powers are. So yeah, you dive into a new setting, you want to learn more about what that setting builds from, and you expand your horizons, you expand
yeah.
your knowledge base.
If you're not taking their main story and going with it a little bit on your own thing, I think you're doing something not wrong, but you're kind of robbing yourself of that experience. I know that a lot of people don't think that they can write. Here's some advice: if you have a significant other that is wildly better than you at writing stories, you write something down, and they ask you what you mean by it if they need to,
Mhm.
and you explain, and they will type it out for you in a legible, not broken English type of fashion or way.
Right.
Because there's things where I'm like, I know this is dog shit, but this is the effect I'm going for, and my editor is my wife. She goes and takes everything. So everything that's ever been written on my page, if it's good, has been my wife.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, that works for your painting too. If you got people around that you can show what you're working on, say, hey, this is the effect I'm trying to create. Is it working? Be honest with me. And I'm lucky that I've got people around that I can, online I could do that. I could send it to people and say, hey, what do you think? But in person, someone can grab the mini, hold it, rotate it, look at it under different lights, and they'll tell me, you should try this, or this isn't working, or this needs this, or this is fine, you're overreacting.
Here's
Uh,
your go-to person for that.
So locally, our painting group has exploded. We started out with a couple people, and now we're at like, I don't know, maybe 8 regulars on Monday nights.
Damn, that's good.
People of all sorts of skill levels. I've been in the hobby for about 20 years now, but I've only really seriously been taking it to the next level in these past couple of years. We got people there who've been into it for a couple weeks. People have been into it longer than I have. My usual number one is Jared Lopez of Lobo Paint Studios. He's
Oh, Lobo.
he doesn't he doesn't really play the Instagram game like I do, and all these hashtags he posts as often as I do. But that is a guy who not only is he a real hell of a painter, but that guy just has encyclopedic knowledge of techniques and other painters. He gives very good, precise, pointed feedback, and he can be as critical as you need him to be. And I've never like ended an interaction with him and thought, well, that wasn't helpful. That didn't tell me anything. So Jared Lopez, Lobo Paint Studios, really, really cool guy. Another person that I get a lot of good feedback from are Kristen and Steven Scott. They are Better Half Hobby. Lovely, lovely people. Two of my favorite people in the hobby. They do a lot of they'll do a yearly charity thing with Extra Life, I think it is, to help raise
Oh,
money
dope.
for I think the Texas Children's Hospital. They'll do like a 24-hour stream and they'll do raffles for charity. But they're both very different kinds of painters. Kristen is a very good painter, very clean. She'll tell you herself she's not very fast, but she is what I would consider a high-level painter, very creative. Steven, on the other hand, is more, I paint this so I can get it on the board and get it done. But for as disparate as their painting levels might be, they both give really good advice, and they're both really, really kind with their words. But also, it's also very useful. And there's other people around the table who I'll pass around a model to, and they'll give me some of their pointers, what they like, what they don't like, what works and what doesn't. And I've gotten really good advice, and it's really helped me level up my painting. So if I can leave any word of advice for anybody, it's try and start your own little paint jam at your local shop. Don't just go there to play games, which, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But it's a fantastic opportunity to create a community where you have people painting, and you're generally just going to lift each other up, and you'll realize you have more motivation and you'll be a better painter for it.
Yeah.
So give it a shot.
Most definitely. I think that just communication in general is just a smart thing to do overall.
Absolutely.
I think it's the wrong thing to discourage people from asking questions. I know that people get annoyed. Why are people asking me how you do this? Why? I understand, but there's some people that learn that way. They don't learn by necessarily doing their own research or knowing that they should be doing their own research. It's sometimes you just give them a little bit of extra grace. I was going to say something really funny there. You fucking took it to a goddamn serious thing. All right, listen, I picture what actually happens is he talks to these two people and he exchanges their advice for his sultry voice reading them a bedtime story at night. That's how I picture the exchange going on. So if you have a nice voice like Manny here, just offer it out to people. If you just need somebody in the background to do background noise while you're cooking, hire Manny.
Hey, I've got a YouTube channel with a whole 3 videos. So if you want maybe an hour and a half's worth of
it's an early plug,
please go for it.
Yeah, it's an early plug. There you go. You got it. If you gotta remember it, you just gotta rewind the episode. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, that's great, man. I think that the big thing is ask me all the stupid questions you want. I've asked so many stupid goddamn questions, but my son is a lot like me in the fact that he asks things to death to get out every single detail. And I can respect that because I personally learned from being shown or actually doing it in the care of somebody else. And once I got that, I take off.
And I'll give a lot of credit to those 3, but especially to Jared, because he really will sit there with you and he'll show you on your own mini. He'll be like, may I? And he'll start painting on your own mini so you can see kind of what he's talking about. And I'm sure this has happened more than once. I'm pretty sure we're usually there for 3-4 hours. I am almost entirely positive I've seen him be there with somebody, showing them, answering their questions, and he'll do that for more than he is there actually painting. Right. That's how thorough he is, and how much. It's also, I don't know if he realizes this, but I think this is also how much he believes in the community and believes in giving back to the people that have made space for him. He goes there to hang out and socialize, and we all love him there. But he is also doing these things that help grow the community and make people want to come back repeatedly, because they know that
not create a bad or a bad story for somebody to tell later on.
Exactly right.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I got from Cole whenever I first met Cole. He was the first person I think I truly met at the very beginning of this pod, and we've stayed in contact since. But yeah, I think it's, don't give people a reason to vilify your actions during something. Like answer questions, man. It's not that big of a deal. If you take a breather and then come back to it. But I think that it's important. I think that that's why things like Bits Bash are important, because it takes people from all different skill levels, and one guy goes by region and sends everything out, all the names, and you got who you got. And I've made a long-lasting relationship through that with Rancid Antler. Dude, that dude is fucking awesome. I talk to him all the time. One of my best buds online, to be honest. And fuck, I even thought about going to, not Roadburn, there was another metal festival down in the south, the last one. what was it? I can't remember the name of it. My buddy went to it too. But yeah, I even considered going down there at one point because he was down there. So just reach out to the community, get to know more people. And it kind of leads us into our next little segment that I like to call Kindness Corner. I didn't pre-think about what I was going to say for this Kindness Corner. But I think because I'm so hung up on the salute, which, by the way, that was definitely a smokescreen for other bullshit that they're pulling. But in the spirit of the salute, I would ask that the arm that Elon is stretching out, I would ask to be bent backwards and reaching around his nether regions in the back end, hopefully to pull Trump straight out of his ass. And Barrett, if you could, put a little Trump head poking out of his butt right there. If you could. What's a little bit of kindness that you would give to the community other than what we've already said, or something that's happened within the community that you really respect? And you can bring up how all of the people in Grim Text make your life livable, because we text 20 text messages in a row on a daily basis and drive you all crazy.
Well, yeah, definitely shout outs to Grimtex. Just a lovely group of people, great creatives. More important than just being great creatives, it's just that they're really nice people. I got to meet, I had already met Bill a couple times. He sold me some terrain for Necropolis. But meeting Gabby in person was great. See, such a kind-hearted person and so much emotion. Like,
my girl,
she's a lovely person to talk to. Truly.
Yeah, she's got a lot of emotion. Yeah. Don't you, Gabby? Gabby, yeah, sweet, explosive.
Tim, really lovely guy. He had started Muay Thai, and I told him, I think he reached out saying, if you got any advice or whatever. And I went ahead and DM'd him and say, hey, dude, I'm not young myself, but it's there's nothing quite like it for workouts. If you ever got any questions, feel free to ask me. I used to coach youth boxing, so I kind of know what it's like to use combat sports as a benchmark for fitness. And then Sam, lovely guy, super fun to talk to, and he's got this aura of friendliness. I'm not a big selfie guy, but when Sam comes up to you, puts his hand around you, he's got a camera in the other hand.
It's his face, man. I think he's the most deceptive motherfucker out of all of us. I think that he's secretly, everybody takes Sam as this fucking teddy bear. This fucking little, he's so huggable. You just want to kiss him on his bald head. Listen, Sam is the most devious fucker out of all of us, and we don't know it. I don't know what he's going to do to that picture that I just bought from him, but it better be vile.
He's definitely got me fooled because, we took that picture. I'm like, I guess I take selfies now. And you know what? Not a bad experience. Actually quite nice.
Yeah, it is. He's a teddy bear. He's a literal teddy bear. He's, you want to just squeeze him.
Yeah.
And he draws good. So, that's good.
Yeah. Can't forget to mention that.
Yeah. Any other shout outs to anybody else?
God, so many, actually. Big shout outs to the Monday Night Paint Jam crew at Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair is one of the friendly local game shops I go to. I frequent them all, but that's the one I go to most often. The staff there are great, but mainly a shout out to the painting crew. I've already mentioned Jared Lopez at Lobo Paint Studios and Kristen and Steven Scott at Better Half Hobby. But there's people there that I can say safely that these are friends that I've made for life. I'm talking of like Carl, Chase, Travis, CJ, Canyon, John. John is honestly the OG. He was there before all of us, and then we started showing up, and now he's no longer showing up. But hey, shout outs to him.
He's probably pissed off that you guys started showing up. It was his one escape from that detrimental life that he's been living his whole life. He's like, I get this one fucking thing.
Yeah, and but he held it down, and then now it's gotten a lot bigger, and really. I go there a lot to socialize with these people, and they really make it worth coming back continuously. We've got a lot of people that are new that come in, and they show them all the same welcoming and warm attitude that I hope other painters would share with others. So we just bring people into the fold, and we share our paints. We share sometimes we share minis. Some people would share brushes. But with people,
Jesus, this is starting to sound pretty sexy, Manny. I'm starting to get turned on.
I can't wait until Monday to do it all over again.
Oh, it's sharing water and brushes.
That's right.
that's reason for divorce. Not anymore in Texas, right? No fault divorce anymore.
Yeah, just divorce for whatever reason you want.
Yeah, just whatever you want. They just let everybody divorce now.
Yeah, shout outs to them for being such lovely people. There is a photo floating around somewhere of Vastarian with all the people tagged in there. Shout outs to everyone who I met at that event, including my hobby heroes like Martin McCoy, Magus Boer, the Weir brothers, Weirding's Way. I know I'm forgetting a lot of them, but I remember the impact that they had on me. For how grim the subject matter was and all the stuff that was going on, incredible group of folks. I can honestly say I've never really had a problem with people being, weird about welcoming new players in their communities, but they couldn't be nicer. Just really just open arms and just wanting you to experience what they were experiencing. So nice guys.
Most definitely. I want to take my portion of the kindness corner, and I think we're going to start doing it in twos now, so that people understand. I have to do it every week, and you only have to do it once. I think for me, seeing your work, I'm going to gush on you a little bit. And yes, that is very sexual. So I hope you are consenting.
Yeah, my pants are off, so it's totally
okay.
Fine.
All right. Yeah. Fantastic. I love the use of your standout bright colors because it really motivates my art, because I use a lot more color in my miniatures. I've recently tried to go the opposite direction and tried to dull down a lot of those colors. And I just don't know if it works for me, but I'm trying. So I think most recently the night that you painted, the blue night that you painted, was one of my favorites from you. But you have countless shit, man. I think that a lot of it for me is just the mood that you overall exude with it, and you're not afraid to use those bright colors, which I think a lot of people kind of are in the shit that we're into, unless it's like pus and shit. You can get all that, but like truly heroic colors that I can point to, that really set the mood for it, that I really appreciate. And you keep on pumping this shit out, man, like it's nothing. So,
well, the secret is to paint them all and then paint them all over the course of a couple months and then post them day after the other.
I know, man. It's so there are times whenever do you have times, I'm sure you do, like everybody else, where you look at your model and you go, is that worth posting? I don't know.
Yeah. I've skipped a few that I didn't think were worth posting, and then they'll sneak in some other way.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is. But yeah, man, I really, especially your knowledge, even if you seem like a very humble person, which I respect that quality about you. I think that that's one of my, staying humble is one of the main things that gets us through this shitty life at times. And I think that there's your work speaks for itself, man. I mean, the board alone that you did for the Huntsman Stele,
yeah,
that's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That was for Necropolis, and I'd love to talk about that some more also. But it's funny that you mentioned my use of color, because I was going to say that I started pushing my own use of color from your models.
Really?
Yeah, because I first thought not only is it a combination of the color, but it's also the combination of the texture that you apply to your models. And I look at that and I'm thinking, the stuff that I'm trying to achieve, I don't have to do dark oil wash browns and metallics. I can do this with a lot of color and still get that mood and that feel that I'm going for. And I was going to say, you haven't really been in the hobby very long, right? Like miniature painting, at least.
No,
it's only been a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
So this is one thing that Jared and I have talked about, and I think one thing that he relates it to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because that's what he's done a lot of training in. The one thing you got to watch out for is the person who is new and doesn't know what they're doing, because they're going to do something unexpected. It's going to catch you off guard, and you're going to learn off of that.
Yeah. So hey, I have modeled my entire life off of not knowing what the fuck I'm doing. So,
but like you see this kind of feedback loop, right? Like I am trying to use more bright colors because it's something that I found that I really enjoy it, and a lot of it came from watching your stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that I was being built up after my little lull, by your stuff, so that we
Yeah.
can share that together. Because I think specifically the one that really sticks out to me, buddy. And I'm sorry if I cut you off.
No, you're fine.
The dwarf is so like classic D&D,
Mm-hmm.
like that. I mean, did you kit bash that, or was that already?
No, that was for all the faults that Games Workshop has, they have some unbelievable sculptors and
Well,
designers.
they do, yeah.
That's a model that came out years ago when Warhammer Underworlds first released, and I picked it up because he's the leader of that war band for that particular team, and I've always wanted to paint him. I love the pose, I love the weapon, and I don't know, I never got around to it. But our local game shop was doing a painting competition where everyone's individually rated. Like, just because you got gold for your mini doesn't mean somebody else isn't going to get gold for their mini in the same category, which I think is a really, really fun way to do these competitions. But I decided I was going to paint it for that. And another thing that I decided I was going to do is try to implement purple in as much as I could, because last year Pro Acryl released a dark magenta.
They're great.
Signature line from Ninjon's group of paints.
Yeah, I actually have that one.
I love it. I've been putting that in everything. Every other one of those, like that Blue Knight that you like, he's got a lot of that purple in it. And so for the dwarf, I put them purple in the axe, the hair. It's more obvious in person, but it's in the axe, it's in the hair, it's in the skin. So it's on the base. Everything has that purple in it. And so that was kind of a test of doing that also.
And I think that that's the most important thing. So I'm not a big fan. No offense, Ninjon. I don't watch your stuff. I'm just not. But I do like the color palette that he had. And back whenever I was painting with acrylic, I had got that because of some of those. But I think that that's important. The other thing with your models too, and what I try and do with my models, is tie one or two colors throughout the same fucking model. It just has to fucking be there no matter what. And trying those new experiments like that, I think is like, it's pretty key. But it's not even necessarily experiment. A million people have done it. I'm just saying, I think it really brings a whole fucking piece together.
Yeah, I first heard of that with Roman Lapat, who is a legend in the miniature painting industry. What a miniature painting sphere. Yeah, it can feel like an industry at times. But he had the concept of which is probably as old as painting itself, but of the mother tone, which is having one tone that you have all throughout your different aspects of your pieces, and it kind of unifies things in a way by having that. In my case, a lot of it is usually purple. The mud monk that I painted, that I posted after the Blue Knight.
Yeah, dude, I really
so many shades of brown, but it was a lot of fun to paint because I was working with browns and purples, trying to make a whole lot of different things happen. That ended up being really, really fun, even though it's just brown.
Dude, and I think the one last gush on you, and then I got to get to our new segment. But I like that you are not sticking to one specific set of colors all the time, but you got, I don't know what it is, man, but it almost feels like a different style every single time I look at it, a different mini, but they all fit together.
Yeah, some people at the Paint Jam will say they can identify what I've worked on based on the colors that I use. Even though the palettes might change, I will often start with a purple in my shading for my reds or blues. Right?
Yeah.
So they can pick up on that.
And I just think it's the overall feel too. Like a lot of these miniatures look like they come from the same universe. Like it's a style of the minis that you picked and everything, and adding on top of that your paint style. But I can imagine every one of these minis being in the same universe, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's nice to have a style that I've honed in on and really tried to, I don't know about perfect, but it's a way that I feel comfortable painting and where I don't feel like I'm compromising myself or anybody else.
Yeah.
The dwarf, while it may look a little cleaner than other works that I've done, I really felt like I painted it the way I wanted to, using the colors I wanted. And no matter how it did, I can be proud of knowing that I didn't compromise my style or what I really wanted to do just to meet a judge's standards. And it did well, so which is great. But
I will tell you firsthand, it is my favorite miniature that you painted, hands down.
Thank you.
I think that that anywhere is like heroic level paint job that needs to be discussed and talked about a little bit. I'm not trying to build you too much up and kiss your ass. I mean, I just think it's great adding that type of style and that type. Man, it looks like it reads off of a page from like TSR magazine or something. I like it. It's gorgeous.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
I just came up with this on the spot while we were thinking, or I was thinking during our conversation. I think last episode I said that stickers were a good thing to bring around. You could apply them to different things, whether in protest, if you wish or not.
Mhm.
Not that we're suggesting that. We're going to call this segment 1-bit, 2-bit misfit, and we'll come up with a little jingle for that, me and Barrett. But on 1-bit, 2-bit misfit today, we're going to be talking about paint markers. Now, I had no idea that paint markers existed. People are trying to go do some art on the run because we're all of us know that all we want to do is drink a cup of coffee and do art on the run as we're going to our job.
Yeah.
If you have a long walk or commute from the parking lot or your home, walking down the street to your job, it'd be a good thing to do to start looking out for different canvases around. Artists is known to experiment for different variation of reasons. And one that I would challenge everybody to use is a paint marker. Just try different surfaces. They may be shiny steel, could be has like geometrically designed to look really pointy and stupid, could roll on wheels. But if you could go ahead and just paint a beautiful picture for somebody on their day at work, maybe they would come back after a bad day and see that and think, wow, somebody actually cared about me today. So looking at you. That's going to be our 1-bit, 2-bit misfit. Manny, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Is there any plugs that you want to make? I know that a lot of some of us are moving over to Blue Sky. That's a very important thing. I'm going to see how this all plays out because I'm going to do a couple rounds of getting people over there, and then I'm just going to say fuck it. I got my Grim Text people in Discord, so I love all of you guys. But also, Manny, you got that $2,000 I sent in super glue, so you can push all of your people in the paint group to subscribe to my channel even if they don't listen to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need another $1,000. I already went through it myself.
That's $2,000. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. I should have checked the shipping price. It was $1,500. But Manny, anything that you want to say to anybody plug wise?
Yeah, absolutely. I am Manuels.Minis on Instagram. I try to post more regularly now. All sorts of fun stuff on there, and you feel free to DM me and with any questions or anything you want to share, and I'm more than happy to talk about it. I think I am Manuels.Minis without the dot on YouTube. Only got 3 videos right now, but it was my ADHD hyper focus for a little while.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to bring that back here pretty soon.
You got 3 videos more than I have. Well, yeah, I mean on many painting.
Yeah. I will on Blue Sky, I think I'm Manuels.Minis on there. I do hope to start posting on there some more.
Okay. Yeah.
Big shout outs, nothing but love to the Houston Grintex group and the Houston Paint Jammers over at Dragon's Lair. And much love to the Necropolis 28 Discord. I love you guys. You guys are the best. If it wasn't for Necropolis as a game and as a setting, I would not have been able to take the dive into converting minis and writing for characters as I would have. So I owe an enormous leap in my hobbying to Necropolis 28, Peter Viggers, Martin McCoy, Blightbones, and all the folks that post over there. Thank you guys.
Yeah, and Owl Shield is the one that started that Discord, I believe.
Yep. Owl Shield, aka Peter Viggers. That's the guy.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure if that was his exact name or not. But no, that's great. Owl Shield. Yeah, Owl Shield is fantastic, man. I joined that back before. It was right whenever I met Grimtex, I think. Whenever all that Discord was going on. That's something I want to get into, and I'm going to call you a lot about.
Please do. We're happy to talk
but yeah, Necropolis 28, fantastic. Owl Shield, I really want to get him on the show. Hopefully we can make that happen. Just a little update in the news, not to leave everybody in. Well, it's not much of an update. It was a couple days old. I want you to remember that things are still happening as we all paint and we all go about our daily lives. 2 of the most important things that I really have held on to this week that pushed me kind of off the rails politically. El Salvador agreeing to taking American citizens to put them in their prisons. That's one thing. But the other thing is now that's something to be upset about, but also taking migrants and just from other places and just putting them in El Salvador, and the American government saying, oh, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Is a wow. If your significant other has been fighting appeals in court and is in jail for an extended amount of time, he's getting sent to El Salvador in tiny prison cells because it's going to be cheaper for America to hold him there, an American citizen. So just remember shit like that.
Yeah.
And Marco Rubio, who is a Hispanic man himself, was like, whoa, this is fantastic. That's awesome. You guys will take him? So everybody that says that Marco Rubio is like, oh, yeah, but he's been there forever. He's kind of a moderate. He's not a moderate. Not with the Trump president.
Not at all.
And secondly, I want to remind everybody that that white crypt keeper little cocksucker that was there for 4 years that's now going to work in I think the entertainment business, Joe Biden, is now passing over the reins to Donald Trump, who has said that Palestinians have ran into bad luck, and that is the reason why they have suffered all these years. It is not due to Israeli rule or oppression. It is due to bad luck. So he wants to move them elsewhere. He's since not he, but his press secretary has stepped back or taken a couple steps back from that comment and said he never said he was going to send troops for sure. He never, but we all know that he did, and he doubled down on it the other day. So just remember that there's a big fight out there, and if you don't want to get into politics, unfortunately, I believe it's the time that you have to. If not, I think that a lot of us will be. It won't be too long. I know it sounds funny, but it won't be too long until our art is next on the chopping block.
Or, if you don't want to do politics, politics is going to do you.
Yeah, it's going to fuck you straight in the ass, and it already has been. So if you would not prefer that, and it's not consensual, you should move on and try and take care of yourself and other people around you, because that's the only way to live, is to take care of one another and speak out against. You hear a racist, you make a big event about it, and you show the world that person is a fucking racist.
Absolutely.
So, or a homophobe or a transphobe. We love you very much, and I can speak for Manny and Grimtex on this. Everybody out of that group loves you very much. You can hit us up anytime. If you need advice on how to step up, just fucking ask stupid questions, man. That's what I want. Stupid questions. Ask away. We love you guys, and have a good night.
Hello, this is Barrett from the ATI Podcast, here to talk about the MANIC Compression Group. The various podcasts that make up the MANIC Compression Group include ATI Podcast, Waxing On with R&J, NODNARB'S Closet from EDAW'S, and It's Just Two Movies. The MANIC Compression Group is a voice for the voiceless, a platform for those dream chasers. The various creative arms of the MANIC Compression Group all have one goal in mind, and that is to bring a spotlight to underground artists and amazing artistic works. ATI Podcast, hosted by yours truly, focuses in on interviewing rising artists, content creators, and small businesses. Waxing On with R&J, hosted by brothers Ridge and Jake Jackson, gives love to physical media. It promotes purchasing physical media as a means to support artists, album reviews, details on production and audio quality on various formats, all with the end goal in mind to give some love to some amazing artists. Outside of the physical media love, you're going to get reviews on recent concert viewing experiences, as well as local show calendars. NODNARB'S Closet focuses in on miniature painting, the D&D world, role-play games, as well as various niches in the hobbies of 40k Warhammer, Dungeons & Dragons, and tabletop RPGs. Led by Brandon Stuart of EDAW'S, NODNARB'S Closet brings attention to the many talented people involved in the hobby. It's Just Two Movies, hosted by Dan King in a rotating guest panel, covers just that, two movies. One critically acclaimed or favorably viewed, and a secondary movie probably not good. But the hope is that it is so bad that it's entertaining. Sit back, enjoy some libations to the velvety tones of Danny Keene and guests with an injection of jocularity and improv comedy. The MANIC Compression Group can be found across all podcasting platforms, but the full experience can always be enjoyed on YouTube. We thank you all. Stay safe out there.